Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Book Experience. As you can see, I'm not in my usual location. I've been sort of banished into what is our bedroom, and the background is possibly not what I would have wanted it to be. But please bear with me. Today, I wanted to talk about two books, to be specific. Um, this is possibly one which some of you might have seen on my Facebook post. So this is a Near Witch by V. Schwab. Um, Terrible experience reading this book. It said it's like a Neil Gaiman sort of novel. That was purely a trope, because when I read through this, it's very slow moving, no horror at all, and I would say it's a subpar young adult novel. That's what this is, a complete waste of time. So I have this thing with closure. So if I start something, I have to finish it, which is the reason I have pushed myself to finish it. But I have been reading other books as I struggled through this one. So I want to give this one away, and I'm not reading this author. Although he's quite an acclaimed one and supposed to be, on the New York Times bestseller and all that. I'm done. I'm not going to read anymore. So that was the Near Witch. And by the way, I procured that book from Best of Used Books. I bought a lot of books from there, I think about 35, 40. This was one of them. The blurb was very promising, but the book a complete dud. The other one, I'm not opening it because it's difficult to navigate. So this book that I read was triggered by the Netflix adaptation of Jane Austen's Persuasion. Now, I do not know if it happens to any of you. I end up confusing Jane Austen and Charlotte Bronte. Maybe because both of the protagonists were single women with a mind of their own, something which was unusual back in those times. I somehow in my mind I keep confusing novels and keep attributing one to the other. So somehow I had tagged Persuasion to Charlotte Bronte, which it was not the case. And I realized I had not read this, although I am fairly across the British classics. I so have tried to read most of them, read a large set. But incidentally, I found out this is something I had not read. So I got the Delphi collection for Jane Austen and jumped right into it, Persuasion, right? So I think definitely, I mean, it applies, right? Any book typically is better than the movie adaptation by and large. Some movies are there which have possibly made it to the book level, very rarely, and I think there are one or two which might have exceeded the book as well. But certainly, this version of the Netflix adaptation was nowhere close, and I am somehow unable to procure the BBC version of it, which is highly acclaimed. So the book is good. I mean, it's again it's slightly slow moving because it has about 24 chapters. So there's a volume one and a volume two, and um, I mean the way they have sort of divided those two sets are not that varying. I mean, doesn't really make up to books. We have to remember that Jane Austen wrote this while she was, you know, it was written in the last 1.5 years of her life. So you can see a lot of that, some amount of resignation, and a lot of resilience and a very mellowed down tone through the book. And her protagonist, right, Anne Elliot, she's a representation of what I believe the author might have been going through, right? So she's very subdued, has a mind of her own for sure. Um, Very much family abiding, but she knows how to hold her ground. So yeah, I think overall this was a good read. If you are into classics and you can bear the pace, then definitely you can give this a try. Many of you might have already read it, or might have been triggered by the Netflix adaptation to go read it, because I felt the Netflix adaptation was outrageous. Now that I've read the book, it's too frothy for for what is a very somber book. So pretty much that was it, and I am reading a few sort of non-fiction books at the time. If they meet my my expectation, possibly I might do the next one on non-fiction. So with that, I'll take your leave, and do drop in your comments, against the post. Thank you. Bye.